Marvel villains perfect for the Teen Titans. This is a video with a group of characters that I'm surprised I have not already done. But with the Teen Titans being one of the most popular teams in DC, some of the most popular characters as well, we gotta do it. So I'm gonna treat it very similar to how I did the Fantastic Four one recently. We're gonna look at 2 villains per character individually, and then we're gonna do 2 villains for the entire team of the Teen Titans. But also, because I don't want to keep this video way too long, we're going to be looking at the roster that I think most people enjoy the most or know of the most. So that's going to be Robin, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So we are of course going to start with Robin. And from my point of view, this is either Dick Grayson Robin or Tim Drake Robin. The 2 villains I gave him are Taskmaster and Bullseye. I think the most important thing about Robin is giving him 2 high-octane fighters that are really going to challenge every physical part of himself. When you look at Taskmaster, he could take some role on as a Deathstroke where he finds himself very fascinated and attached to Robin, all at the same time basically being Prometheus, a character that maybe Robin at this point in his crime-fighting career has already fought before. Taskmaster is obviously going to imitate everything Robin can do. All of his moves and his fighting styles and any skill he might have with any of his gadgets. It's going to force Robin to have to figure a way to beat Taskmaster without going hand-to-hand combat. If they simply just keep on fighting, there's going to be no end in sight. Robin would need to prove, hey, that's fine. You can match me in fighting skill, punch for punch, kick for kick. That doesn't matter. I'll prove I'm smarter than you. Then for Bullseye, especially if you're going with a Dick Grayson Robin, this is pure agility versus precision. This is going to make Robin think outside of the box to come up with creative ways to defeat Bullseye, considering Bullseye can use literally anything around him as a weapon, as a throwable object that will hit or even pierce Robin if he's not careful. Once again, this has another similarity to Deadshot, and if Robin has handled Deadshot before, this won't necessarily be anything too new for him. I can't really speak for the state of Bullseye in Marvel Comics today, but one of the differences will be, whereas with Deadshot, the characters kind of become more of an anti-hero today, Bullseye's a villain. He might not hold back in certain ways that Deadshot would today. So Robin is dealing with someone who's extremely deadly and would not hesitate to kill him. Now we look at Raven, in which I gave her Nightmare and Shadow King. I wanted to give her 2 entity type characters. Nightmare feeds on dreams from the dream world, and whereas Raven already deals with this type of trauma on a consistent basis, he can still do it to her, just on a much more deadly level. And I think what's really important here is, even though Nightmare would be more so pertain to being a Raven villain, that does not mean the Teen Titans couldn't get involved. They absolutely could. In these dream states where he consistently tries to attack her, he could potentially isolate her along with the rest of the Teen Titans team, which would also be absolutely perfect for a horror vibe. And Raven, in a lot of ways, can be one of the most likely to be mentally unstable. And if Nightmare was capable of penetrating her thoughts, her mind, and her dreams, this might not end well. To be trapped in your mind living in nightmares would be horrible. This is really going to take a lot of Raven's strength to pull out of it, and even the team helping her in ways to keep herself up. And then when you look at the Shadow King, he's another feeding entity, but this time he's going after more so negative emotions. I believe he would psychologically pry the darkness from Raven. He would want the true demon Raven to take full control. He doesn't want Rachel Roth. With Raven being an empath and having her own form of telepathy, so does the Shadow King, but it has been described in Marvel Comics that he is a near Omega level telepath. He is just under the level of Professor X, apparently. So with that type of power and output, he would be a huge manipulative threat to Raven? Would he be able to convince her to let the demon side free? And if he does, that's what makes him extremely dangerous. Then for Starfire, I have Moonstone and Selene Galileo, or the Black Priestess. Whereas I do think it's very important to give villains to the Teen Titans who are good at manipulation, with Starfire, you also need a side of heavy hitters. With Moonstone, she's powerful and manipulative, especially with her history as being a psychologist. She loves to push buttons, and I could see her really getting under the skin of Starfire by making her question her place on Earth. Does she really belong here? Do the people of Earth even want her here? Is she doing any good? But then you even bring it to a point where if she decided to return to Tamarin, then Moonstone says that's not the point. You're worthless on Earth, and you're even worthless to your own people. What would give Moonstone this very narcissistic, jealous feeling towards Starfire? I'm not exactly sure, but she could absolutely utilize that side of herself to sow doubt within Starfire, along with the fact that she does have very powerful energy projection, which could keep her up to par with even Starfire. Then with Selene, you have a 17,000-year-old sorceress who is just hell-bent and absolutely devoted in every way into defeating Starfire and dropping her from the pedestal that many people may see her on. With her life force absorption, she would go right after Starfire's power and her great passion. Just like a vampire, she would strip all of that away from her. However, with her great psychic control, she can take a hold of Starfire and treat her like a drone to Selene's own will. Anything that Selene would now want in regards to Starfire, she's subordinate to it. She would have to follow along with it. Now, of course, Selene's power is probably much easier to do so on humans. Starfire's not a human. She's humanoid, but would that be enough? Would Starfire in some way be able to combat that? Or could she even fight off Selene before it could even get to that point? A 17,000-year-old sorceress with great potential and power, she would have to have some justifiable grudge to go after Starfire. Then for Beast Boy, we look at Lizard and Sauron. Oh, not that Sauron, this one. I wanted to give Beast Boy two animalistic styled characters just because forming into different animals, having the understanding of what it's like to turn into different beasts, he knows that all too well and could maybe have more of an emotional connection with some of these villains. Like I'm saying, with Lizard, you're taking a character who represents more of a darker side of transformation. Curt Connors is unable to keep control of his own mind and abilities, unlike Beast Boy. I think Lizard is someone that Beast Boy would have a lot of sympathy for, and maybe in certain times would show a little too much mercy to the actual Lizard form, because he has so much belief towards Curt Connors that sometimes it would blind him to the actual animal side of him. I think there's even a way in a DC Marvel universe where they both potentially coexisted with one another. Beast Boy would have already had a prior connection to Curt before he became Lizard in the first place. Perhaps seeing an old friend or acquaintance who is this very brilliant and kind-hearted man turned into this uncontrollable lizard creature, it would probably hurt to see that. I'm sure there would be ways where Beast Boy would want to try and help Curt as much as he possibly could, maybe in terms of even helping him control the animal if there is no way to stop him from turning into the lizard. For Sauron, the conqueror of the Savage Land, not Mordor, populated by dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures, something that Beast Boy himself likes to turn into. Sauron needs to absorb the life energy of animals and humans to survive, which is almost a perfect opportunity for him with Beast Boy. Beast Boy is literally the best of both worlds. Beast Boy and Sauron could have a battle for the animal kingdom. Sauron being this conqueror of all vicious prehistoric animals, whereas Beast Boy tries to come in as the savior. Now for Cyborg, I went with arcade and danger. Technology is obviously the main forte of Cyborg, but with how these characters use it could be the challenge. With arcade, you get a sadistic genius using traps and other deadly tech while trying to trap Cyborg in murder worlds. The being of Cyborg would fascinate arcade more than anything, in which the fascination would not even be about killing Cyborg anymore. It would be about putting Cyborg to his highest potential and his limits. It would now become a scientific experiment. Arcade is so taken back by the power that he utilizes potentially from the mother boxes. What can I do to him in order for me to truly steady the being that he is? If Arcade steadies Cyborg's output, power, and potential enough, maybe he could find ways to utilize Cyborg's technology to craft even worse, more horrifying, dangerous murder worlds. Then with Danger, a pure AI who turned on her creators. And to be more exact, she is the physical manifestation of the software program that they use in the Danger Room for the X-Men. I think she could view Cyborg as being someone or something that is incomplete, as he still relies on organic matter. That could potentially anger her, not understanding that the organic piece of him, the human part of him, is probably the most important part about his character. Even the power he wields is so exponential. She is angered when a human such as himself is capable of utilizing energy and power that he doesn't even understand, but she could, being a pure formed all AI. At the same time, you could blend both of these stories if you wanted, or you could go one or the other. She could also feel attached to Cyborg in a lot of ways. She could want to potentially team up with him to become the ultimate programming, the ultimate version of what an AI is. Something that would be completely unstoppable and would probably even result in human extinction. She could try and get to him. You are far more robotic than you are man. It wouldn't be that hard to just strip away the human part of yourself and join me. We could work to recreate this world in our own design. And maybe for Cyborg, the pull to that type of robotic control does feel very enticing sometimes. But once again, being human is truly what Cyborg is all about. Now for the last of this video, we are going to look at the Teen Titans as a whole. And the two villains I decided to give them here was Super Skrull and Mister Sinister. Now, the Skrull would of course just be combining all the abilities of the members and attempting to attack the team from within through secrecy. They could try to be blending in as certain characters without other characters knowing the true disappearance of that particular character. This could be some secret coup and attempt to weed themselves into the Justice League, but they've wanted to start a little more small scale and attack their sidekicks first. Whatever the reasoning for the story might be, my reasoning for choosing the character, I think a villain who can utilize the powers of everyone, almost like in a Mazo in some sense. This would be perfect for the Teen Titans, who are constantly learning how to work as a team and to even just get along through relationships and friendships. What better way to understand what your team is capable of by being thrown up against a character who can steal their powers? Then for Mister Sinister, I believe he would be completely fascinated with the Teen Titans abilities. Somebody who is so obsessed with the mutant gene, I think he would look at certain characters like Raven, Starfire, and especially Beast Boy, since he feels a lot like a mutant. He would want to get into that type of DNA and see what he would be able to do with it to create a whole brand new version of mutants using Titans DNA mixed with mutant DNA. Could you imagine how crazy that would look? What would the potential be? What would the power outcomes be for those characters born with those two DNA strands? The thing about Mister Sinister is I think he would also be manipulating their insecurities and corrupting them. He would be attempting to try and pull certain members of the Teen Titans, the ones that he finds easier than others, work to his goal and his potentials, starting a whole new race of super-powered, genetically altered mutants. He's fooling some of the Teen Titans into thinking they're potentially building a better and safer world for a group of people who they'll all understand each other. The Teen Titans are a group of characters, some of them, who never felt like they belonged anywhere in the world. Their powers were so uncontrollable, or their appearances are so different from regular humans, they never felt like they belonged. And Mister Sinister could give them this false sense and hope that maybe they could build a world where everything feels normal within their circumstances. But I mean, goal number one here is to literally never trust somebody who has the name Sinister. But there you go. Marvel villains that I think would be perfect for the Teen Titans. Now, the Teen Titans, I think, are pretty flexible. There are a lot of villains they could have been faced up against. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of some of my choices, what some of your choices would be, and maybe even tell me what Marvel villains you would give to characters like Donna Troy or Wally West Flash. That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.